I heard them screaming, and then I saw it, like Dresden, I saw it kind of falling in slow motion.
A summer camping trip goes horribly wrong.
I collapsed because I couldn't walk.
No phones, no radio, no help nearby. Waiting in the darkness for someone to rescue them, and that's just where the story begins. For 2 Oakland County teens, this summer was supposed to be the best summer ever. The plan to spend 7 weeks at Camp Tanuga, which is up north.
Yeah, way up north. The trip included an 11-day hiking trip to Isle Royale. That's in Lake Superior, about 600 miles north of Metro Detroit. It was supposed to test their hiking skills. Instead, it tested their will to survive.
Karen Drew has their story.
This is how summer camp began for Dresden Kogan and Kaylee Eisenberg. Lots of fun in the sun. One of the highlights of Camp Tanuga, an 11-day camping expedition to Isle Royale, a remote island in the UP.
I remember asking my mom before we went on the trip, and I was like, oh, what would happen if there was an emergency? How would we get off the island?
Little did Dresden know that's exactly what was going to happen. Their twist of fate starts 3:30 one afternoon. After a 4-mile hike, they set up their hammocks and climb in to relax. Less than 2 minutes from getting in,
it was a crack. I kind of knew it was happening because I could in slow motion, it felt see the tree kind of falling, and I couldn't get out.
I didn't hear it crack, I just heard them screaming.
Kaylee and Dresden fall to the ground. This tree collapses on top of them.
I remember digging out from under the tree, and then I collapsed because I couldn't walk because I broke my back. I didn't know at the time.
I didn't hear anything. I was in shock.
Kaylee can't get out from under the tree.
They could only lift the tree off enough so I could squeeze myself out.
There are about a half dozen other campers at the site, many screaming and crying, some trying to run down trails looking for help. No one is around.
And he kicked the door off of 2 of these outhouses, and he put down our foam sleeping pads, and then put a sleeping bag over us, and then put these ropes around us and tied us to them to stabilize us.
Remember, this is a remote island, no cell service, no radios, no help nearby. One camper finally finds someone on the island with a boat.
They took the boat near Canada to get cell service, so then they called 911. So then the Canadian Coast Guard had to call the U.S. Coast Guard, and then the U.S. Coast Guard called the Rangers.
Now it's about 9:30 at night, 6 hours after the accident.
Groups of Rangers came, 12 for each of us. So they moved us onto something called a litter, which is basically a stretcher, but with just one wheel.
By this time, it is dark, and there is a 4-mile hike ahead of them. The Rangers take turns holding the girls on the stretchers as they carry the teens.
The place itself is very hilly, so if they would have to go uphill, it felt, and since we were so strapped in, it felt like I was upside down, and I was getting so nauseous.
I was kind of passing out because I was in so much pain.
Meantime, back in Metro Detroit, their parents' phones begin to ring.
He said, there's been a tragic accident. The kids are critically injured, and I'm like, oh my God, are the kids dead?
He said, all we know is Dresden was in a terrible accident, and she's alive, and she's conscious.
You just want to get there. And all that other stuff, you do the best you can, but you just got to get to your kid.
About 3 in the morning, Dresden and Kaylee arrive to a meadow in the dark of night. After being carried for nearly 3 hours, now they must wait and wait to be rescued. Then the sound they're waiting for, the U.S. Coast Guard arrives. But there's only one chopper, so only one girl is rescued.
They dropped down the strings and connected her to a basket.
The chopper flies away. Dresden will wait in agonizing pain.
They kept asking when he was going to be back, when he was going to be back.
Both girls are brought to a nearby hospital. Their injuries so serious, they had to be flown to Beaumont.
I have a lacerated kidney, liver, pancreas, and spleen, and then I have 2 broken ribs, and I have SP fractures in my back.
I have 2 SP fractures in my back.
The girls spend 10 days in Beaumont's intensive care unit, slowly recovering. Now they spend their days together, healing and talking about what they learned and how they changed.
We're very grateful for that, everything that, how we got helped and how we're alive.